I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. We continue in the Gospels. We are actually now on the very last day before the Passover, before the Last Supper. And on this day, we've had a couple of controversies with the Jews and Christ's last teaching to his disciples after he shut the Pharisees up. Nobody wanted to talk to him anymore, so he talked to his disciples. And right now we are going to be reading in Matthew, but this is going to be a very involved chapter. We're going to be reading chapter 24, which is Christ's great prophecy of the last days. We're not going to read the Joseph Smith translation because it is extensive, so we're going to save that for another video. This prophecy, however, is also recorded in Mark and in Luke in slightly different variations. And so that's what we're going to be reading for the next little while, is Christ's prophecies of the last days. So we read this now in Matthew chapter 24. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Up to this point, Christ has been teaching in the temple. He's been teaching his disciples. Now he's leaving. He's heading out of the city. And as he's going, the disciples are all pointing out everything about the temple. The temple, it's not a single building. It's a large complex with various buildings in it. And they're it seems to me that they're asking him about it. And he's saying, look, this is all going to be destroyed. Everything is going to be leveled to the ground. Not one stone will not be left standing on another. But this is stated while he is on his way out to the disciples in general. Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privily, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So this takes about halfway through the chapter. There's a lot going on here, and it's very difficult to follow. I'm not going to get too much into the details right now, because the Joseph Smith translation will clarify a lot. Now, the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel, you can read that in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, as well as in chapter 11, verse 31, and chapter 12, verse 11. And that's talking about desecrating the temple. Desecrating the temple and the altar and causing the land to go desolate because of this desecration. So when it says, when ye shall, therefore shall you see the abomination of desolation, you will see the sanctuary, the temple, be desecrated. But there are like two different phases going on here too. You have the beginning, the wars, rumors of wars, nation rising against nation. Then iniquity waxes strong, persecuted in all nations. And then we get to the last days. Neither let him. In that beginning part, we have the false Christ. Many will come saying, "I am Christ," and deceive many. And that did happen. There were a couple of false Christs in the first century. But then we get to the second period, which is the last days. So that first part is what's going to happen immediately after Christ and after that initial Christian era, after in the first or second centuries. But then we get the second part, and we get that when say, "Lo, here is Christ," or "There is Christ," don't believe him. That's the last days. That's our day. And so that it's hard to make it out. It makes much more sense in the Joseph Smith translation, and I don't want to get too much into it right now because of that. But just know he is talking about two different periods. This isn't all the last days. Let us read 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at your doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass, till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So after all the tribulations, after all the wars, after all the false Christs, then we get the sign of the coming of the Son of Man. Now, we're not told exactly what this sign is, but it did say earlier, as the lightning in the east is seen to the west. It is a sign that everybody will see at the same time. And it's not even necessarily everybody in the world. It'll be like the rising sun. Christ will come and he'll go around the globe and people will see it. And then the angels will go out and gather out the saints. Remember earlier we read, I can't remember where it was. It was in Matthew. I can't remember what chapter where. He said, the saints will be gathered together, but when they are caught up, the angels will go throughout the world and collect up those saints that weren't able to gather with the main body, bring them up with Christ. And that's what we're talking about here again. And then you have the parable of the fig tree, because the fig tree is one of the last trees to bud, to put forth its leaves. And so when when it is putting forth leaves, summer is approaching. The time is there. And all these signs are like the leaves of the fig tree. Let us continue verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in which watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This last portion here is very similar to other things we have read. So things being like it was in the days of Noah, and one in the field, two in the field, one taken and one left. All that was also in Luke chapter 17. And what this is usually used by other Christians to support their claim of the rapture. This is, people will be taken off and others left behind. And then they say we have a tribulation to come after this. But that's not what Christ is saying. Christ said this is going to happen after the tribulation. Nobody is taken out of the tribulation. We all have to endure the tribulation. All the wars, the famines, the increase in wickedness, all this stuff we are all going to endure. But at Christ's coming, as he passes over the world, however it happens, whatever that sign is, Christ comes, the angels collect up all the righteous. And that's when we have two in the field, one taken and the other left. The angels take the righteous off, and then is the destruction of the wicked. And we know not when this will happen. I think this is the first time we've read the statement that not even the angels know. In other places it'll even say that not even Christ knows when this will happen. Only the Father knows when the second coming will be. And the angels and Christ himself are waiting in anticipation for the Father to say, the time has come. We must also be prepared. We must be ready. We must act. I love they had a nice seminary video. And it was, a guy seeing all the beautiful gardens and the flowers growing at this big mansion, this big estate. He asks the caretaker if he can look at it. The caretaker gives him a tour of this sprawling estate, hundreds of acres, and the guy tends it every day. He goes out, mows the yard, he waters the plants, he trims the hedges, everything is done. And the visitor says, man, you take care of this place as if your master's coming home tomorrow. And the caretaker says, no, sir, today. And that's what we do. We need to act like today is the day. Christ could come back at any moment. Now, I will say there are many signs of his coming that have not yet been fulfilled. And so, no, I do not believe it's going to be today. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow. I do think it's going to be in our lifetime. But I'm going to leave that here. Honestly, as I say, it's one of those chapters that you could go verse by verse and probably make a 10-minute video on every verse, on each verse individually. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to leave that here. We will read the Joseph Smith translation next. So I will see you there.